Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Josh and today we are going to be talking about the 50mm 1.8 that's just came up from Panasonic and how well it does in terms of its AF performance. Now, I have mentioned on this channel before how sometimes I think that AF tests can be quite ludicrous and sort of stupid in the sense that they don't actually show you the real world sort of use of a said lens or a camera body, for example. Most of the time it's just people running up to their cameras, running away from their cameras and all that sort of stuff. And for me, that's not how I'd use my camera. That's not how I'd use the lens if I was using it in a working situation. So therefore, my AF test here might be slightly different to what you've seen, especially for this 50mm test. But just keep that in mind before you start putting hate comments down below. I'm not going to be running towards my camera. I'm not going to be popping my head into the frame or out of the frame. So if you're looking for that sort of video, then you might as well click away. So on the screen right now, what you're seeing is a sequence that I shot of my brother making a fruit salad. I'm an identical twin, by the way. That's actually not me. That is my identical twin. I know, it's confusing. Now, the reason why I wanted to shoot a sequence using just AF is to show you guys how it would actually perform when you're actually, let's say shooting a sort of short little ad or commercial or something for a client. For me, this is a much better representation of how the AF would work on a sort of normal sort of shoot type. I mean, it's very, very rare for me anyway, where I am filming people running around, in a garden. So therefore, why would I do that as my test? And as you can see from the sequence, it's doing absolutely fine. Now, for you guys that are desperate to see how well the AF does for tracking a subject, let's say if it's walking away from the camera or getting further away from your lens, or of course coming more towards the camera, then I have done some shots like that which I'm going to put on the screen now for you guys to see. Again, this is a sort of mix of shots that I would potentially do if I was actually filming a subject walking around. For me, this sort of shows the AF in context to how I'd actually use it, and as you can see, it does a pretty good job. I did notice that it lost my subject a few times, but then again, we were filming in broad daylight, and of course the Panasonic AF system is contrast based, which means that of course it relies heavily on contrast, and that's just the way it is. But generally speaking, I'd say that if you're planning to do some video work with the AF, as long as you have decent lighting and your subject is nice and clear, then you should get pretty pleasing results. Generally speaking, I'd only really use AF for these sort of videos where I'm sitting in front of my camera and addressing you lovely people. Like right now, I'm using AF on my S5, and I'd use it for sort of like BTS filming as well, where the shots aren't, extremely important. But for my actual paid client shoots, I will always be using manual focus. And the reason being is because no matter what camera brand you have, the AF can sometimes fail you. Now, please keep in mind that the copy of the 50mm 1.8 lens I had was actually a pre-production version, but I think the firmware on that lens will probably be the same that they're shipping it with. So of course, whether that changes your perspective on this test, I'll let you be the judge of that. I was actually planning on doing a lot more testing with this lens, but unfortunately now I've had to send it back because of course it was only here for the initial announcement. But I'm planning on buying the lens as soon as I possibly can, and as soon as you guys can, as soon as it's in stock in my local camera store. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I'll be able to have that lens again to do some more testing. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you found it somewhat entertaining, interesting or helpful, and if you did, then please consider subscribing because I do a lot of Panasonic related content on this channel. So yeah, hopefully I shall see you in the next video. Thank you.